And what could be better living on an avenue named Grand?
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
that was great.
The Central Park neighborhood stretches from North 33rd to North 48th Streets and Ames Avenue to Sorensen Parkway. This area was settled in the 1870s and originally named West Saratoga. The Central Park School has been the anchor of the community since 1912. The Central Park Improvement Club advocated for extending the streetcar line to the neighborhood in 1920, which made 42nd and Gren the last stop on the line. This intersection was a walking neighborhood that consisted of many stores and businesses. It reached its peak in the 1950s and 60s, but in the 1970s the neighborhood followed the national trend of white flight and changing socioeconomic status as large groups of white families moved from this area and people of color moved in.
Well, that's where I was raised through my early childhood, and I went to Central Park Elementary School.
I grew up about 5 blocks to the north of it, so it's a neighborhood that I know quite well.
Not to speak of, not to speak of. We had occasional racial minorities that were in the community, but basically it was white, and it was a white working class, lower middle class community.
It was very racially dynamic.
Neighborhood.
Well, at that time it was primarily working class or middle class, what you might call lower middle class.
What made it our community was the neighbors all had a sense of looking out for one another.
And we were a neighborhood. Doors on every house were open. I mean, if you were a kid, 8, 9, 10 years old, and you were down here and you had to go to the bathroom, you know, you just went in whatever house. And because
I would see a lot of nice yards, activity. You would see people with their own gardens. You would see people with a lot of pets. Just a lot of things going on.
the neighborhood was the centrifugal center of my life at that age. Everything revolved around either the school, Central Park Congregational Church across the street, Fontenelle Park down the street about 4 blocks. Because I talked about the central nature of Central Park Elementary School. That was the center of most everything because we used it. We used it for parent-teacher conferences. We used it at night for social gatherings. That was the center point. School. We had to go downtown, and downtown meant downtown Omaha. So that's when we took the streetcar, which was our main form of transportation, other than a car, but it took us right straight down central Omaha. I think it's more socioeconomic. I don't think it had much to do with race. And different people that lived differently were moving in, and they were differently from the people that were already there. So they then in turn moved because they wanted to be around people that were socioeconomically situated.
Really, once we started to get a demographic shift in the population of the people, the dynamics of the neighborhood changed, and so did the socioeconomic entities that really kept up the neighborhood. The stretch of houses that were directly to the south of the drugstore used to be among the nicer houses, and then all of a sudden you started to see the care for them go down, and negative activity started to increase. Shootings here and there. It just turned it into a place that I used to go by there virtually every day, and then after a while I said, well, maybe I need to go around the other way to start getting to where I had to get to.
One of my sisters lives in New York, so she came to visit about a year or two ago, and I said, well, let's drive up by the old neighborhood, And so we got over there, and we were looking at the school and the church, and I said, let's go by our house, and we went there. It's not there. It was gone. It was a vacant lot, and it was the only one on the block. I don't know. I would like to see something that could go in there where the neighborhood could be involved in the development of it, because when the neighborhood is involved, then I think it gets teeth, and they've sunk their teeth into a cause. Oh yeah, that's. I am. I think those are great roots.
I'll always be proud of the neighborhood. It's just that when you see what it used to be and what it is, it's disappointing, but never ashamed of the neighborhood.